Welcome to episode 169 of Bledsoe Said So. We have a special, very special guest today, Chris Ramsay.
That's me.
Yeah, that was it. That was the bring in. So, yeah, I don't even know where to begin, dude. This is like, it's crazy that you're even here. Wow. Like, there's so much to cover. So, we were at Monroe together. If you've heard the 3-part series, I talked about Chris. I talked about Hannah, who's also with us. Maybe we'll get around to recording with her later. But in the meantime, we are going to... I think if you're all right with it, we should just debrief what happened last night.
Yeah, I think we could start with that. That's probably a good way to start it.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and tee us off?
Yeah, why not? So, okay. So, Chris, he basically is like flying in, and it's in the middle of a tropical storm, right? So, I'm sitting there all day sweating like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make the drive. I'm telling Jenny, like, we're probably going to do it in the morning maybe for a day trip. And I go to pick him up, and then it's like, you know, I see you face to face, and I just immediately felt like, God, I can't disappoint you, dude. Like, I know I'm switching perspectives here. Now I'm telling you. I was telling them.
Yeah,
now I'm telling
yeah.
you. You know, I see you face to face, and I'm like, dude, I can't disappoint you, man. I want to take you to meet my dad. We've been talking about this for months. So we're like, let's go, you know, right when we get in the car.
Yeah.
So we get back to the house, you know, we settle in a little bit, and we make the drive. And we can go into that if you want, the dad story, but I just wanted to preface that, like, we drive all the way through a tropical storm, you know, water's flooding the roads and everything. We get there. I'm hoping we're going to skywatch. It's going to be epic. And then, you know, we don't see anything because it's raining.
Yep.
So
Completely.
do you want to go into any of that before we move on, like what it was like?
I mean, we could save it. We could probably save that, or we can...
The dad? Like me?
Yeah. Well, no, meeting him, I think, was, outstanding. We stayed up till 3 a.m. talking and just going through stuff. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I didn't come for the orbs. Like, that's not why I wanted to meet him. That's not why I wanted to come hang out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice bonus if we get to do something like that. But I was happy just to hang out, honestly, and just have like amazing conversations, which we had, mind-blowing conversations, a lot of laughs as well.
Yeah.
Got to perform magic, you know, for your parents. And
my mom was like, I need a heart pill.
Yeah.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Is it real? You're like, you know, pulling your finger off.
Yeah.
That was funny, man.
It was better than that. All right. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It
No,
was
mine
literally just me pulling my finger off.
Mine looks like something else, but you know, anyway, so I felt really bad, you know, because a lot of people fly from all around, or, you know, make a long drive. Like recently someone hopped in the car and drove 20 hours from Texas, and they just knocked on the door, and, you know,
Whoa.
Yeah. So like when people come out and there's like bad weather and we don't get to skywatch, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang, you know,
I didn't even think of it, to be honest. Like the entire time, I've never. I know you were like, oh, is it still cloudy and stuff? I was just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I was so happy to just be there and chat, and you know, I've had my own experiences with this phenomenon, and so I don't need any more validation that something is occurring. I'm pretty confident that I have a grasp on my own reality and what it is I saw. But I was interested in hearing, you know, your dad's perspective of it and your perspective of it, and sort of just being among your family dynamic was really nice as well. Seeing how close you guys are, and you know, it was truly. I think I said this earlier in the day, but it felt familiar being there. I didn't feel like an outcast whatsoever. I didn't feel weird. There was no moments of awkwardness. It was like I felt like I was home with family.
Yeah. Wow.
The second I got there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then we got to hang out, we got to chat, and the next day we had Hakeem come down. We got to hang with him a bit. I got to film with your father, which was cool. And then we headed back. And, you know, Ryan was like, you know what? The sky might clear up tonight. We might be able to get some sky watching in. And I was like, yeah, if it does, it does. And sure enough, the sky cleared up. Yep. And we ended up going down to the beach.
Yeah, so we decided, you know, earlier in the day that we're going to go to the beach that evening because it's Casey's birthday. You know, they know who Casey is. You know, she's been on the show a few times, and she's our artist, you know, Nick's wife. By the way, should probably mention that Nick is sick tonight, so unfortunately he can't be here. You know,
shout out Nick.
Yeah,
we got to hang out last night. At least we got to skywatch together, but he came down with something. So
yeah,
unfortunately,
guy. And he's greatly missed. So anyway, so yesterday was Casey's birthday. So we kind of had this plan going, like we're going to be at the beach at night. And, we decided we're going to go. Weather turned out being perfect. So, me, you, Jenny, and Hannah are going to go, basically drive to meet them later after they're getting at the beach. And in the car, I'm briefing you guys. I'm like, look, there may or may not be someone here tonight who hasn't seen things yet. So let's start really setting our intention, right? Let's start getting into that headspace, sending our thoughts to the sky when we get there. And I think like the energy of our group will, make something happen. And I have a good feeling about it. Basically, I said it a little differently. So then we make the 20-minute drive to the beach. We get there. We start to walk on the sand. And what happened?
Literally instantly, we look up and there was like activity.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of activity. Like, when you're sky watching, you might see these things just kind of like streak over the sky, but it was more than that. There were some of them that were glowing, pulsating, getting brighter, moving faster, moving slower, like changing speed. Flashes. I saw these incredible flashes.
You kept saying Kodak.
Yeah, it was like a
Kodak
camera
flashes.
flash in the sky.
Yeah.
That kept I was like, the heck? Where's that coming from? And then we're doing this. We just got there. I would say estimate 10, 15 minutes. And we're already buzzing. We're like, cool, this is happening. Mm-hmm. This is so cool. So much activity already. Maybe
you're like vlogging everybody.
I'm vlogging because I'm like in such a great mood. And then all of a sudden, we filmed this and this will be released eventually, this video, but I was filming myself. Mm-hmm. And you can see my face completely change and the utter, we saw something over the ocean. No exaggeration. It was like that big.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge.
Out in the ocean, that big. So the moon is like this big. This thing was like this big, right? Yeah. Moon was full.
Like from perspective, Yeah,
it was huge. And it was like a row of 8 to 10 lights. Just a row of these orange, fiery lights.
Yeah.
And they just all appear at the same time, just kind of like, whoop, like this, right? And it kind of just materialized.
Yeah.
You just hear somebody go, oh my God, what is that? What is that?
I think it was Casey or it was Nick. They were like, what is that? What is that?
And you just see my face go.
You were in the middle of a vlog.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, we just saw some flashes, whatnot. And then I just go, I turn and my face, it's like, you see my face. It's mind blowing what I'm looking at. And I turn the camera and I got the tail end of it.
Yeah, as it's fading out.
But
something that happened was, I want to stress what he was saying when he says it's that big. Is it on my, can they see this? When he says it was that big, we were talking about this about 2 hours ago. And it's like perspective, right? You look at the moon and it's about an inch. Like if you hold your finger up or a ruler, it's like, oh, it's about an inch. It's obviously way bigger than that. But from your perspective, if you scale it down, that's about how much of your vision that it covers of the sky. This thing was bigger than that. Imagine the implications of this. It was super massive, dude, what we were looking at. It was
crazy.
It was enormous. It was long. If you held a ruler to the horizon, that thing was 2 or 3 inches. And yes, my voice is going out. Moving on. But if you hold a ruler up to the horizon, it was super long. And something that you forgot to mention was that when it was about to fade out, it did a wave. These lights, they went out in a wave and then it faded out. We were screaming.
It was insane. It was an insane thing to witness. And then as soon as it was done, we see this couple running down the beach and we're asking her, did you see that? Did you see that? And they're like, yeah, we called the police.
The Coast Guard.
They called the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Because they're like, something's happening out there. They're like, maybe it was flares. And I'm like, no, nobody
maybe
shoots
someone's drowning.
Nobody shoots up 10 flares at the same time that are like just sitting there.
I've called the Coast Guard about a flare. And that was very different than what y'all are describing.
Yeah.
Dude, very different.
This didn't go up and down either. It was like, It materialized. It was there. It was like, womp. And all of a sudden we're all looking like, what is that? And then it just kind of like went away.
Imagine 10 orbs side by side, dude. Yep. Like stacked. Like almost like a snake. It wasn't a snake, but the shape, the way it like waved and they flashed out, dude. Chris was shaking and I was just looking at him.
Dude, my heart was beating so fast. It was insane.
You were shaking. You were like, look at me. You were recording yourself. Look at me. I'm shaking.
And there's no boats that have that sort of light pattern either.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this was
for the
wa-
listener.
Yeah, this was way over the
okay.
so in terms of like inches, if this thing is like that, this was like 5 inches over the water.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
from a distance.
And it was out in the horizon.
It was way up in
way
the sky.
out in the sea.
Yeah.
It was incredible, man.
Did you show him the footage?
No, I wanted to save it for
Oh.
now. If you want to show him now, you can. Yeah.
Well, I can show you the second one. So
Okay.
the thing is, we see this couple. They're like panicking. They're like, "Yeah, we called the Coast Guard. We don't know what to make of that." We're saying like, "Well, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was something else." And as we're talking about this, the girl that they're with, there's a guy and a girl, and the girl starts opening up about something that happened to her father in 1968 on the same beach, and that these orbs went overhead, and he was partying with his friends, and him and his friends woke up like hours later, blacked out after these orbs three orbs came directly over her head. And then he had like something in the back of his knee or whatever. She was swearing by this, and she was completely sober.
Dots on his.
The dude was drunk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She was sober.
Yeah. She did. He was.
Yeah, he was very.
He was drunk.
Yeah, he was having a good time.
No, but she was pretty lucid, and she was pretty excited to talk about it with us. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
recall
she
that.
opened up like even he didn't know about it.
She wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, and then as we're talking, and we're still buzzing and talking about all this, another one appears.
Well, first we saw. Okay, so this is the way that I kind of remember it. So we saw the big one first. They come running up to us, and they're like, "Oh my God, did y'all see that?" And they start saying, "It's flares, right?" And we see some like ordinary looking. I mean, I say ordinary. None of this is ordinary, but like regular orbs that we see thousands and thousands of. We see a few of those.
Regular orbs.
Yeah,
Chris
the
is
regular
filming.
kind.
Yeah, the ordinary kind. And Chris is filming. He's like talking to them. It was really some Channel 5 stuff. Like, you wait till you see the footage, bro. It's hilarious. and he's filming them, and he's asking them questions, and they're just like going along with his questions, and they're kind of enjoying talking to us,
Yeah.
And we see some regular orbs, and they're like, "Well, those was flares." So I was like, "Well, what do you think about that one? What do you think about that one?" Who's like, "Well, maybe that's a satellite, or maybe it's an airplane." I was like, "I don't know. Too high to be an airplane." And, she starts telling us the story that he shared, and while they were next to us, another one of the super massive orange things appears. But instead of this time it being 8 to 10 lights,
it's like 2.
Yeah.
And then it goes down to 1.
Yeah. And I recorded the end of that.
Kind of, yeah, I'll show this to him.
Okay.
Oh! Wow. That is not a flare.
This is crazy.
That is not a flare.
Maybe we could drop this footage in post.
Yeah, do you want me to?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
there's a craft out there.
Yeah, we can do it in post.
Yeah, I'll catch
Yeah,
up.
we can overlay it in this.
That's a UFO. Just saw 2 of them.
Sorry, let me get behind the mic here.
Now look, as crazy as that video is, that's the second one.
Yeah, the first one was.
The first one was astronomically more mind-blowing and insane, and like the only one who had a camera out on it was Chris. But the problem is he had the Osmo camera, which is like the swivel gyroscope camera. It's not like he could just turn his camera around. Like, it had a specific swivel function, and you have to zoom, and it locks in. It's not like for that.
But as it swiveled, I caught in the tail of it.
You want me to put that in?
Yeah, please.
All right, I'll put it in.
And so his Osmo was on his face, and he was talking about an orb he was seeing, the first one, right? And then as it appears, I'm sitting there stunned. My hands are in my pocket. I'm like, dude, I can't take it myself.
It was so scary seeing that.
Well, I wasn't scared. I was amazed, and I am pretty used to it. Like, this stuff doesn't scare me anymore. But it was so shocking, and like what I say is eldritch. I was like, oh my God! Like, I couldn't believe what was running through my head was, I am so glad that Chris and Hannah are seeing this. That was what was running through my mind. This is destiny. It was meant to be that you guys would come here and that you would see this. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that something very amazing was happening, that you guys were receiving a blessing from this. Obviously, all of us, but particularly you guys. Because, if me and my crew saw that and it was just us, we always see stuff, it wouldn't really been a big deal.
Yeah.
But you guys were here with us to share this with us.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it was super special, dude.
It was, man.
And we saw other things that night. We saw a ton of things like streaks and all sorts of wild.
Oh yeah, we'll save the streak for the end, the finale.
Yeah.
Right. So to wrap up the dude, I have to get to this point because this is the most important point of the night. So he sees a couple orbs, and then the other one, the video you just watched, the second one pops up, and they're seeing it with us, and they're like, "Oh my God," and they start to kind of be open to the idea that maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's not a flare. They're like, couldn't explain it. And we start going into the story about her dad from 1968. This isn't a coincidence. And she was all, "Oh my God, I've always believed." She had never even told her husband, right?
Yeah.
It was her first time ever telling her husband. And then the husband said, well, that might be my cue to leave. I'm not trying to get sucked up. We died all night.
So you can buy the "Not Trying to Get Sucked Up" T-shirts at a Bledsoe Said So website.
No, I'm trying to get sucked up.
Oh yeah, just trying to get sucked up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get sucked up.
Just a drunk guy on a beach yelling, "I'm trying to get sucked up."
He said, "I better leave." That was so funny, dude.
It was very funny, but you could tell he was a little scared.
Oh yeah.
After
He ain't trying to get sucked up.
He wasn't trying to get sucked up, dude. He's definitely not trying to get sucked up.
Yeah, so it was magical, man, and I was so glad to share that with you guys. And it was just very mind blowing. And then the finale that I was saying, let's save it for a second. Okay, so maybe an hour or an hour and a half goes by, and we're all just kind of laying there enjoying the vibe. We're all mind blown over that, right? So we didn't see anything for a while.
Yeah.
And then you and Hannah were like, "It's been a while."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Yeah, you know what? I think you said, Chris Sr. always says," what did you say? Do you remember what you said?
Kind of the fact that like we're all, so basically when we got there, we had this buzzing energy. We had this like, we want to see something energy. And the whole group we were with wanted to see something. And it kind of was just happening instantly. And all these things were popping off. And it was kind of cool. And then as we did that, we're all kind of on this, coming down from this crazy high.
Yeah.
And now we're all sort of chatting and having our own little conversations. And like, we're distracted. We're like, we're not trying to make anything happen. Right. And so we just kept glancing up momentarily to see, but nothing was really going on anymore. Literally, it stopped.
For like an hour at least.
It literally stopped. Yeah. Like I swear, in like 15 minutes, we saw so much activity and then nothing. Like literally nothing. Not one little thing for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And then we started talking about the Sphinx.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the star.
Well, you brought it up, though.
I brought it up.
Before we talked about the Sphinx and the star, you said, well, let's refocus our intentions.
That's right.
And Hannah was like, yeah, one more time. And we were like, yeah, let's do that. Let's think of our thoughts together on the sky. And I kind of made the joke to you guys. Like, my dad always says, let's cut the football chat.
That's
Remember?
right.
We were addressing this. Like, let's put our thoughts and our intentions together. And you were like, look in this spot, and let's see if we can get it to appear one more time. Okay, so you set that intention. Yep. Then we start talking about the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Hannah's like, what about the Sphinx? And you said, oh, it's what Chris Sr. told me, right? Mm-hmm. The alignment thing.
Yep, the alignment
You're
thing.
Like, Ryan, tell her about the alignment. So I start saying the alignment, and then what happened?
And the second you were done, like your sentence, this giant streak goes right over our heads, and it was under the clouds. It was like way under the clouds. Like, and it was just like this streak. It was like thicker than a shooting star. I don't know how to really describe it, but yeah. It was pretty freaking cool. It kind of scared me. I was like, whoa, it was right there.
Yeah.
And after that, it was pretty much done. That was like,
and then Jenny saw one more. I didn't see it. I was looking at you guys.
Oh no, I saw that one too. Yeah, there was a tiny one. That might have been a shooting star, to be honest, because that was like way up high. But who knows?
Who knows, man?
But the other one, like the clouds were out. So
yeah. That was the into our magical night. And
if you want to check out the full story, well, you're just gonna have to wait till I cut all this together after I pull my hair out for a month editing all this footage.
Yeah. On what channel, by the way?
Area 52.
Yeah.
Area 52 Investigations.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to get into?
Well, okay. So you're a very, very prominent, accomplished magician.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm just saying it like it is, like you have an amazing magic channel, on YouTube. Chris Ramsay is his channel. And you've done very well. You have now, or rather I have had the amazing opportunity to see you perform magic many, many times in person. And, we've only been friends for 3 months now. So I went from not knowing about you and what you do to like kind of being in your circle and like being like, whoa, this is sick. My friend's a magician. And, so like, anyway, where I'm going with this is I'm now coming to understand, spending the last few days with you outside of Monroe and, really getting into this stuff, and we're getting ready to do the pod, and, we did some filming for your channel, and now I'm coming to understand that you're at this point where you're ready to get into something new.
Yeah.
Is that okay for me to say?
Absolutely.
You're ready to go deeper and kind of like start from the ground up with this new passion of yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, we could talk magic, but I really want to start with Area 52.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
If you want to go with like why you're kind of where you're at, where you want to, your passion, why you want to get into Area 52. What is Area 52?
Yeah. So
why is Area 52?
Yeah, this is a new venture. It's a bit of play on words, 52 cards in a deck type deal. So that
went over my head.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it ties into, what I did and who I am. I love magic. I always have. Puzzles are cool too, but magic is like my first love in terms of like all this stuff, right? And it's led me down so many great paths. But the reason I got into magic in the first place was the love for the unknown.
Right.
I've always been fascinated. I remember being a kid watching Unsolved Mysteries, and I remember, the host being like, this is based on a true story, and like, and they're talking about, UFOs and all this stuff and like spontaneous combustion and all sorts of like wild stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean this is based on a true story? Like my sort of impressionable brain as a young man was like, wait, an adult's telling me this is real?
Yeah.
So this is real, right? And so I always had that. I was always inclined to the paranormal and the extra.
The mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
Mysterious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything that you sort of is encompassed by that. And it led me to, see people like Uri Geller bending spoons and stopping watches and whatnot and so on and so forth, and these psychic abilities. And, as a young man, I'm like, dang, I want to do that. That's like a superpower. I want a superpower. I want to be able to do supernatural things. And, so pursuing magic was a natural way to get there. And then, come to find out it's trickery and it's sleight of hand and misdirection and showmanship and suggestion and all these remarkable psychological, tools. And not disappointed. I'm very happy by that because I'm like, now I get to learn something. I get to apply what I've learned and create this beautiful art and give people these special moments and all that. But then, this thing kind of stays with me, this love for the unknown. And now I know magic. I know what it is. But I still don't know what all this other stuff is. And it hasn't brought me any closer to that, really.
Right.
And I've always been fascinated with, just ETs or like the idea of consciousness or the idea of like all these fantastic things that I think not enough people are talking about. They're really important. They're probably the most important things ever, in terms of they're almost as important as dinosaurs. I feel like,
I mean, I would say more.
Yeah, I would say more as well.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like these are things that people are just not talking enough about.
Yeah.
We're so sort of saturated with so much information that we kind of like, well, whatever. But I'm like, no, this is amazing. And so I've always had a penchant towards this stuff. And I had multiple, but I had some burnouts, on the YouTube channel. Doing this day in, day out, feeding the machine, I had these employees and I had a certain amount of content I had to dish out in order to pay bills and keep the lights on, right? So it becomes this like what started as this joyous, fun, celebration of my own creativity, which eventually paid for itself and more, and that was so much fun. Now it was like, well, as the numbers are sort of declining, well, then I have to pick up the pace, and then, oh no, we can't catch up anymore, and now it's just this thing I don't want to do. Now it's like, oh, well, where did the love go, right? Because now it's all about the shiny things. It's all about paying bills, and it's all about that stuff. And I'm like, that's no fun. And I find myself having so much fun performing magic, by the way.
Yeah. I picked up on that.
Even if I don't film it and upload it and edit it, right? And so it's not like my passion for magic went away. It's my passion for wanting to create content out of it constantly that sort of died down.
I understand.
Yeah. And then what happened was my friend Nelson Dellis, who you know.
Shout out Nelson.
Shout out Nelson. He's a 5-time U.S. memory champion.
Yes.
I reached out to him.
Incredible guy.
He's incredible. Incredible memory. He's actually, at the end of the month, he'll be competing for a 6-time championship in Orlando.
Let's hope Nelson Dellis wins. Send him vibes.
Yes.
And I absolutely will be calling him at some point, hopefully this year, to try to get him on the show.
And he'll definitely do it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we talked about it.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy, and he's been actually with me on my journey into Area 52. And the reason I mentioned him is because I hit him up once to learn how to create a mind palace. And you can check out his channel. He teaches you how to remember Morse code and how to remember the alphabet backwards and like all the U.S. presidents and all these cool tricks using mnemonics. And so he taught me how to memorize a deck of cards in under 5 minutes through practice, right?
Wow.
Creating a mind palace and all that stuff. Loved it. It was amazing. I made a video on my channel with him. And then one day we're on a podcast and he slips in this thing where he says, hey, I made some money like months ago. This guy hit me up and he taught me remote viewing. And I'm like, what do you mean? What is that? I've heard that before. And he's like, well, it's this thing that like psychic spies used to do that worked for the government. And they used to spy on Russia or something. And yeah, I don't know. They were like, hey, do you want to make money? You're a memory champion. We can teach you this and play the stock market for this group of like hedge fund investors that want to pay us to do that. So he proceeded to learn how to remote view. For a month, they trained him an hour a day, and then he made money remote viewing. He tells me this, and I'm like, dude, can you teach me? And he goes, yeah, I think so. So I'm like, okay, this is an interesting video. Now I'm thinking for my main channel still, right? Because I hadn't created Area 52. And so I start filming myself learning this, and I'm getting results that are like making the hairs on my body stand up.
Dude, when we were at Monroe together, I paid attention to this. We were sitting with Joe McMonagle, right? And we can go a little more into Monroe later if you'd like. You know, I would love to.
Yeah.
But we were at Monroe together, right? So I'm looking around the room. We're doing the remote viewing. Joe McMonagle is coaching us how to do it. And I'm looking at my page, and I'm getting hits, but they're like not really strong. It's like, it's the Devil's Tower. I drew like a cylinder, and I wrote like maybe rock or something, I look over at your page, and you were drawing like landscapes. Like I think one of them was, it was the one in, we had the Devil's Tower. What was
in St. Louis?
St. Louis.
I drew a stadium.
You drew the stadium.
Yeah.
You drew. I saw it. I was like, holy shit. You mapped it out.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah, and then I mean that
I was
type of
blown
stuff
away.
happens when you do it every day. Like you get crazy hits, and they get way better than that. I was not impressed by that hit whatsoever. After I've seen a lot of the hits that Nelson and I have had.
Can I ask you a question about this? What's your practice routine every day?
So I don't do it anymore.
Okay.
Rarely.
What was
but I
your
did it for a
practice
year.
routine then?
Just every day you would. So there's these random image generators online that are made for remote viewing.
Right. No, I know.
Yeah.
So Amy introduced it to me.
Exactly.
And I've been a little crazy about it. And so that's why I'm asking, what was your practice?
So there is a protocol invented by Ingo Swann for the government. And this is what they taught the remote viewing team in the Army, right? This is how they taught them. So Ingo Swann, who is a natural psychic, very gifted, was basically instructed to create this training program for Army and civilian and intelligence agents to learn how to remote view to see if they were any good. And so he came up with this protocol with like multiple stages, like 7 stages or whatever.
He wrote the book Penetration, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a very famous artist as well, but he was an incredible psychic. And yeah, so through this protocol, which is like, you start off with like an ideogram, which is like a scribble, then you describe some things, you go into descriptors, a whole bunch of descriptors like texture, size, colors, all these things that you're perceiving, and then you go into a drawing and then more descriptors and so on and so forth. It's like this sort of 7-stage thing. I was taught this by Nelson. We started doing this daily. He sent me photos that he would find give me random reference numbers that I would write down, and do the sessions. I vlogged this. I kept vlogging it. And after a while, I was like, dude, this is too cool. I don't think this will live on my channel.
Yeah.
I think I want to start a new channel.
Oh.
And at this point, I was so engulfed by this project. And I was like, now I want to know, like, because of the results I was getting, I wanted to know, where was this? Who's still doing this? Who taught this? Who's the best at this? Because this is real. This is happening. I've done it. You know, for anybody who says remote viewing is BS or whatever you want to say, dude, the only thing I can tell you is put the work in first before you say anything, because that it's so easy to be a sheep and follow what everyone says. And, you know, part of the reason I started this channel was because I want to be boots on the ground and I want to do it. I'm not listening to anyone. I'm coming here. I'm hanging with you and your father. I'm going, you know, to meet these psychic spies. I'm going to Monroe Institute to try it myself. And I think that's a really important thing for more people to do. Don't take my word for it either. You know? Anyways, this happens. I ended up reaching out to Joe McMoneagle, went to his house in Virginia, spent time with him, interviewed him. Major Ed Dames traveled to California, Sacramento to meet him.
Cool.
Spent time with him. Spent time with Dr. Ed May, who is the chief research physicist for SRI, the 30 years of the psychic project for the CIA. Mm-hmm. You know, so I talked to scientists, I talked to taskers, I talked to the remote viewers. I talked to Uri Geller on the documentary as well. Like, I interviewed him. So for me, I was really obsessed.
Yeah.
And then I cut it all together, and that was my first project for Area 52.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how I got started.
That's amazing. So that's kind of funny to me that you were like, you almost had this like fracture in your identity, like your magic, and I highly recommend you guys at home to like check out. Please plug your magic channel.
Yeah, it's my name.
It's just Chris Ramsay.
Yep.
Okay, so your Instagram has numbers in it.
Yeah, 52.
Chris Ramsay 52. Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I didn't confuse it. Check his channel. It's amazing. We were kind of just watching some videos last night. You were showing us, and you're like, you don't have to watch anymore. I'm like, keep it going, keep it going. Next, and just your channel is so amazing. Not both channels, I'll say, is so amazing. Not because of your skill. That's 50% of it. Your magic is amazing. I mean, you do things with your hands and with your mind and with your voice that I could not fathom. But your content is so amazing because, like, in my mind, you're a director. You know, you have the mind of a director. I'm paying attention to you in the last few days that you're here, trying to learn from you, you know, and you're showing me sketches of your new studio. Meanwhile, you're sitting in my humble abode, and I'm like, you know, maybe I could use a secret compartment escape room. No, but in all seriousness, you know, like, just the craft that you put into this, the attention to detail, it's inspiring, it's epic, it's mind blowing, and you guys should check it out for sure. But Area 52, I'm in a pickle here because I don't want to give away some of the goods, but also want to talk about why it's so cool. So
yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on there, you know, from podcasts to investigations. Investigation is the main reason the channel exists. The podcasts are kind of like to hold you off until the next one because these things take time.
Yeah.
You know, the Discord, my people help me out, just like your Discord. You know, that we've got a really good base there where people help me out with these investigations. And we, you know, I'm currently investigating 4 things right now. So I got 4 projects that are in different stages of completion, and they take time because I have to go places, but I also have to learn things. And, you know, part of that was going to Monroe.
Right.
You know, I had multiple out-of-body experiences after meeting Joe McMoneagle, which is interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he told me about them for the first. I've never heard of these. Yeah. And he told me about them. I go home and I spontaneously have 2 back-to-back. Don't even think about Joe. Yeah. Put this together way after.
Something comes to my mind about that. Mm-hmm. So if you really get down into like esotericism, or, you know, you could say like ancient Tibetan Buddhism, or just spirituality in general, there's the concept of like the laying on of the hands of a master, right? You always have this archetype of like the student and the teacher, the hermit, right? Or like the apostles and Jesus, you know, he lays his hands and he blesses them and they have the ability to go forth and spread the gospel and, you know, perform miracles. Or you have Merlin and Arthur, or, you know, the Kung Fu master and disciple. There's always this theme throughout history of like, you know, a skill is truly transmitted once received from a master.
Right.
And my mind goes to this, like you're studying this, you're studying this, you're studying to this, and then you meet the master.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he tell you? You know, you can go out of body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Power transfer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
interesting.
Maybe it's a little symbolic, but
sure.
like that's where my mind goes.
I definitely like. I mean, there's a reason this happened to me then, and not 10 years ago, or not in 3 years. Like, you know, like that. I think about a lot. The fact that it happened to me then was so timely, because now, you know, when it happened too, I didn't think anything. I didn't think out of body.
Yeah.
I thought, this is just a weird like dream, but it wasn't a dream, and I didn't really know what to make of it. And I heard astral projection being thrown around when I Googled it. Mm-hmm. Never out of body. It was always like astral projection type deal. Right. And I was like, that's a little too woo-woo for me. You know, I really thought that. I was like, I don't even know like if that's what I had. I think they're just making it up. What I had was different than what they had, you know, and this is the attitude I had. And then I started learning about Bob Monroe about, I don't know, it was after, maybe 6 months later or something like that. It was sometime this year. And I've never heard of him before, other than when mentioned by Joe McMoneagle and Ed May. They both mentioned, because they both did, you know, a lot of sleep analysis and lucid dream testing with Bob and that type of deal.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, let me reach out to the Monroe Institute. How cool would it be if I could document like an entire week of me going there?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hit up Paul, and Paul's like, and I'm like, hey, do you have any programs? And if so, would it be possible that I can film, you know, one of these things? And Paul said, let me get back to you. He's like, filming a little touchy. He's like, but just because it's other people's privacy and stuff.
Yeah.
And he got back to me and he said, hey, I'll do you one better. What if we put together a creator week, like a creator group? And, you know, he's like, I think I can get enough creators together to like do something like this. Would you be opposed to that, or would you be for that? I'm like, dude, that sounds amazing. And he's like, yeah, that way everybody can film and everything. I was like, yeah, 100%. And then calls me back. I slot myself in. I slotted Nelson in as well, who didn't actually make it to the one that we went to, which is another synchronicity in itself. But then, yeah. And then met you there, you know, met Hannah, met all the amazing people. Mm-hmm. You know, Amy, Sean, I mean, Brad, Hakeem, I mean, Marco, everybody was Rosalie,
Ignacio.
Ignacio, Emily,
yep, Archie and Maya.
Yep. The entire group. Now I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. We just like name dropped everybody, and I'm sure.
Are we missing somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan. Yeah, we saved the best for last. Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible, and it was incredible finding you guys. Like I really feel like I found my tribe a few times in my life, but this time was like, oh, I feel like I've met these people before.
Yeah.
You know, truly.
I felt the same way. And our rooms were beside each other.
Yeah.
So like every time going in and every time we're going out, it's like, how was it? How was it? See you on the other side. You know, like a week of this. Like, well, that was crazy, dude. that was really fun.
And then we went sky watching there, which was for me really surreal, because I'd already read your father's book. And what's funny is that your father's book only came up because I was following on TikTok. I was already following Sean Webb, because he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Mind Hacking Happiness guy.
Yeah. Check that out.
You'll meet him.
Great books too.
Yeah.
And I was also following Jordan Crowder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just randomly because, you know, it was talks in the woods about consciousness.
I love Jordan, dude.
Yeah. Really fun to listen to. And Sean Webb, it was like, hey, there's this book coming out. Like, you guys have to pick it up. Or this book that just came out. It was like 2022, right? Was it 2023?
Yeah, early, like February.
Early 2023. Yeah. So he goes, yeah, this book just came out. It's UFO of God, whatever. This guy who's been behind more closed doors than you know, people in the government, and he's got Josh. I was like, okay, instantly get it. I get the audiobook. Listen to this, mind blown. And then, you know, I start looking up your podcast, and then I found out you're at the Monroe Institute, and so is Sean.
Yeah.
who suggested the book and everything.
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
this weird full circle moment.
Because you hadn't met
for me.
Sean before.
No.
And obviously me. Yeah, that's really full circle.
Yeah.
Really weird. Yeah. When you explain it like that, like I'm just hearing the story of someone who has these really big dreams and a solid sense of self and confidence and self-worth, and you're just like literally manifesting every one of your dreams.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Think about it. And every single field that you are interested in, you are achieving mastery. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it that way, but yes.
Well, I would. I just did.
I feel, and I've always felt this way, and I think since I can remember, even before high school, like I've always felt this way. I always felt like the only thing stopping anything from happening is me, right? I've always felt that, like,
yeah.
There was never anything, like, for me, it was always like, okay, if I can see what the end result is, right? If I can really picture that in my head, then all I have to do is reverse engineer it. And that seems easy because when you break it down to steps, then it's like, okay, well, then all I have to do is do these steps.
Right.
And this will take me to where I'm going. Like, that, it's that simple. It's not more complicated than that for me anyways. It wasn't like, oh, do this or do that, or like say these words or whatever. Like it was just as easy as, okay, let me really picture what this looks like. Cool. Okay. So let's back it up one step. What's that step? And then let's back it up another one, and let's break that down, and then keep going back. Right. And now I'm like, okay, well, now I know where I have to go.
Yeah.
And so, it's like going in the dark and you're going up these stairs, right? And you can't really feel the stairs, right? But somebody turns a light on upstairs and you're like, oh, there it is. And now you've got a direction to go.
Yeah.
Now you know where you're going, and it's kind of shining a light on the rest of the stairs. So you're like, oh, this is just, all I have to do is do this one step at a time, and I see where I'm going.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard, and that's kind of how I felt with YouTube, with magic, with puzzles, with this stuff, with anything else.
And see, there's another thing that you've just revealed. You're humble.
Well, I mean, I can't accept that compliment.
Well, I mean, that's okay. I'm not going to take it back.
Way too humble. Way too humble to accept that compliment.
I'll tell you why, man. I'll tell you why. Look, this is my show, so I can gas you up if I want.
All right.
It's because I see someone who I've now known for 3 months. And like you said, we found our tribe. And, people, sometimes you just meet. It's like when I met Alex, right? I met Alex 6 years ago. Oh, look at him frown. You've changed since this wedding. And we'll get to that later on another episode.
He's a big softy now?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Wait till the boys hear about this.
Yeah. But what I see is someone who... Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that, we clicked. Like I was telling you, like when I met Alex, we just clicked. You just meet people in life. You have many of them too, I'm sure. Like you meet someone and you click and you just feel a bond with this person, and you just feel like, okay, cool. Even if I didn't see you for another 5 years, if you called me up at 6 years or 7 years or whatever, it's like, what's up? Let's get together. Nothing changed. That's just connections sometimes people feel. And what I feel about you, from what I've observed, right? Okay. Let's start with magic, your first love. I don't know if I'm allowed to name some of the things or people that you've told me, or,
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're riding to Fayetteville and you're telling me a story about how you're, hanging out with David Copperfield.
Yeah.
And David Blaine,
Just one of my humble rants.
Well, I mean, it's, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
There's good stories. It's not.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that, right? Okay, great. So my point is, you have achieved the top of your field. Mm-hmm. Is the way I see it. I'm just telling you what I see. I see things too. I have intuitions too, and I'm telling you what I see and what I feel. You've achieved the top of your field. You're showing me your video. Oh, this is my buddy. He's really big in Japan. Oh, cool. So clearly, you're in the top of your field. And you're like, okay, let's get into this UFO thing. Look at where you are.
Yeah.
And all the other people you've told me, I've got a meeting with so-and-so and a meeting with so-and-so. I don't want to give away your, but he's in the UFO field. He's literally finding himself with all the top players. I want to learn about remote viewing. Call up Joe McMonagle. Whoop, walk in the door.
It's funny with Joe, actually.
Are you seeing where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You're reaching the top of your field everywhere, but the more I'm sitting with you, I just feel like a gratitude, a humility, just like, dude, you've spent hours and hours and hours the last 3 days just trying to just give me advice and Alex, come here, I want to talk to you about this, and tell you about this editing thing and this, and you're sending me this, you use this, it's like you could easily be like, do the show and dip out, but no, dude, you're going the extra mile to like what I get the sense that you're like helping everyone around you.
Yeah, not trying to gatekeep.
Nice cable management guys.
We were
Great job.
Yeah, coming in here.
So,
dude, you got to see this rat's nest over here.
hey. Maybe I like.
He's not lying. I mean, it's true.
It is. I mean,
so, wait, drop this in post.
Yeah, we got to. It's a work in progress,
you guys,
man.
It'll never
It's
let
a
you
work
live it
in
down.
progress.
No, it looks great.
But
This is what matters.
my point is, I wanted to
Thank you.
pay that forward to you because you've been so nice and so helpful and so.
I feel the same way about you though. So it's reciprocal and it's also not for like the thing when you said like when you find somebody and click and that like there's a trust thing, there's a mutual respect thing, and there's just there's a bond there where what I know is yours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel that
Same.
and I feel that from you too. And so I think it's more of that where I'm just like, hey, I'm open. I'm an open book. Whatever you need from me, you can have. It's not. I don't gatekeep this. I don't.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't gatekeep it really for anyone. But I would definitely, I'm definitely willing to share if I think that it can help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that, because I see you as somebody who's genuinely on the path. What's the path? Knowledge, truth, mastery. These are all different things that I think deep down all of us are seeking. And there's some people like us who are very sincerely and furiously on this path, without falter. And what we saw together last night, the week we experienced together at Monroe, and like based on just what we're talking about and the things that you're into, and what I was pretty shocked 2 days ago when you told me and my parents that you were kind of really looking to get into overdrive with the Area 52, and my parents are like, what? Why? Your magic channel is it's so big and it's so this and it, but this is what I'm passionate about. So I wanted to say these things. I wanted to tell you what I was feeling, but really I want them to hear, because I want these people to look at your channel and follow along with what you're doing and go check out Area 52. And I
appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
It's cinematic. It's high art, high, as Hannah said earlier, highbrow, but he's on the path. Like, he's really on the path for truth. And like, it's we're in a little different shoes here, where like I've been on the inside of the UFO world, and you're like
coming in.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I mean, I appreciate all the knowledge that you've, imparted as well. And I love learning. I think you love learning too. This is a really healthy, in my opinion, this subject is a really healthy thing to learn about.
Yeah.
Although, a lot of people might feel otherwise. I think it's really healthy because the subject itself forces you to be humble.
Right.
To it. Because
if you're sincerely on the path.
if you're looking at what the nature of this is,
right,
just purely, even if you believe it's like this military weapon or whatever it is, right, or if you believe it's like a spiritual thing, or regardless of where you are on that scale, I think no matter where you are, it puts you in a place where you have to humble yourself, and start thinking about the gravity of it. Either way.
Right.
And I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to do that, because I think, far too long, all of us have just put ourselves on the top of whatever chain it is. And we've been up there for too long, I feel. And it's nice to know that, we're not at the top, on this chain, wherever that chain leads. And I think that's a really healthy thing for people to look into, because it does help. It does help you put perspective, because now you realize, once you realize like you're not like the apex of the universe anymore, just that, once you realize that you're not that, that you're not it, but you are at the same time, but you're not like above anything else.
Yeah.
It really,
but still special.
But still, no, exactly. I always say this. I always say when people are like, well, nothing matters if we're all equal. And it's like, no, we all matter equally. Yeah. That's the whole point.
That's kind of common sense.
Yeah. It's not that nothing matters, is that we all matter exactly the same amount.
Yeah, which is why do no harm. Treat your neighbor how you want to be treated. Yeah. We start to kind of pick up something there. But
yeah, but this subject does have a way, I think, of but it can be harmful. You've seen that too. You've seen people go off the the weird end of it.
Yeah.
But I think if you take it in the proper way and do your own research and really follow the signs, that the universe is leading you towards, I think you'll end up at a place that makes you a better person.
Yeah.
And also it will show itself to you, this phenomenon, and it will open up doors for you. And it will show you, like, this is things that I've never in my entire skeptic magician's life would have believed. That is true. I was always, of the school of, no, that's horse crap. And that's
Occam's razor.
Yeah, of course. And although I still apply that to some things, I do now have a more open mind to the phenomenon, to what the phenomenon means, and to paying attention to the signs that, and I hate saying the universe, right? But what I mean is, maybe the universe on a quantum level that you're interfacing with because you're a part of it. Mm-hmm. So you're affecting your own self by wanting things to happen.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you're kind of like, we're Jedis in this reality, and I'm kind of just realizing that, and that's a really cool thing that I wouldn't have discovered if I didn't, go down this crazy wild little path.
It's like Morpheus. He's beginning to believe. And Neo's like, he's becoming the one.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
I'm telling you, man. It's like I'm Morpheus and he's Neo. Usually I want to be Neo, but right now I feel like I'm Morpheus and he's Neo. But
that's what it feels like, though. When you sometimes when you see these synchronicities, I'm sure your audience does too. And to go to a skeptic and to try and explain this, you sound ludicrous. I get it. I know what this sounds like. Yeah. I've been on that side, But the point is, I don't need to prove it anymore because it's been proven to me, And when things like this happen, people who it's happened to understand that. When you're on that journey, going towards where you're supposed to be or whatever that is, things just present themselves to you, and they'll open up. The sky will open up. Like, it's crazy.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll show you synchronicities that you just go, whoa.
Oh, I got one today for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I pick up my phone at 9:33 as I'm about to show you this. I've been telling you. Yeah, but you saw the 33, right?
I did,
okay, can confirm. So for days I've been telling you, like 33 and sometimes 11:33 is my favorite combination of numbers. When I dropped you off to get your haircut, I left the parking lot and I went to go get, to the store and look at the car that was in front of me. I'm not going to flash the camera. You can read the number, but I don't want to read, the letters.
Yeah.
Right? For privacy. Look.
Oh, yeah. 3300.
3300. I see a lot of 33s in things, but it's like, it's cool, but this is literally in numerology. This is literally just 3300. So I was like, huh.
It's like when I got here, the day before I got here, I texted you. Well, no, it was the day that I got here. I was driving to the airport, and I was in back of an SUV.
Oh yeah.
And to the right of that SUV is a Mack truck. The Mack truck, the name of the company was Stargate, and the car in front of me was a Honda CRV.
Yeah.
Now, CRV in remote viewing at Stargate stands for coordinate remote viewing. It's what they practiced at Stargate, CRV. That's what they call it. So I'm sitting behind Stargate, and CRV, and I'm driving, and I'm trying to like snap pictures of these things to send them in the group because this is insane.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy.
Well, if that wasn't crazy enough, then you land in Philly, and who's chilling right outside on the president?
Oh yeah,
The president was there.
Biden and I were both doing a layover in Philly.
Yeah, he
I feel
sends
like
me a
we're
video.
kinda-
No, seriously.
Yeah.
There was like a presidential like
Fleet.
yeah, of
There's
like Ospreys.
three Hercs, the planes that have
The
like
VTOLs,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then like 3 helicopters, giant helicopters, like
Ton of like cars.
yeah, fleet of cars.
It was him flying through.
Yeah.
Which is it's funny because it's like how often you see that? Let's raise our hand if it's been at least one time.
Once or twice,
Nah,
yeah.
Never. You know what I'm saying? Like never. And it's just crazy. You know, you go through the Stargate and then you see the president, which is, you know, it seems irrelevant, but it's still crazy.
Yeah, it was
you
crazy.
know? And
I was there, and that layover, I had a 40-minute layover.
yeah.
And the gate that I was at was the same gate that I had to take. It was the same plane.
Oh,
I was
wow.
laid over on the same plane, same gate, and it was right in front of that gate. You know, had it been on the other side of that airport in Philly, I wouldn't have seen that. So it was like right there, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like that when you start paying attention to it, and all it does, and you know, anybody could say, well, that doesn't matter, it's just a coincidence and all this stuff, and like, yeah, okay, but all it does is, for me, it gives me this weird little confirmation that I'm on the right path, and that attitude shift that happens in my life,
Right.
because I interpreted this as a sign, changes my attitude towards my day or my decisions, which then affects the rest of my life. You see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. So this whole idea of like even manifesting, or the idea of, you know, being on that path or whatever, it's all about how you interpret your reality. Because if you interpret we can both be looking at the same thing, and you could be interpreting something negative from it, and I could be interpreting something positive from it, but we're staring at objectively the same thing.
Right.
This thing is objectively what it is, but we're interpreting different realities. And because I'm interpreting my reality in a way that I'm seeing signs and seeing these synchronicities, now I'm making decisions based on that are affecting me positively and giving me more reinforcement that this is a thing. And it's leading me down this road of new discovery, constant adventure, joyous moments, you know, seeing the silver lining, this type of deal. It's improving my life in every way, from physical to mental to emotional and spiritual, every way. And so, although people will be like, that's a coincidence, you can say that's coincidence, and you're right. And that's the whole thing, you know? If you think if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right.
I wrote down something about the subconscious. I'm trying to get my journal out here, but when
But that kind of touches on something I like to talk about a lot, is the more you think you're lucky, the luckier you are.
Of course.
Yeah, and we've gone down a luck rabbit hole many times, and that's my fault. But I just love, because you're absolutely right in my opinion, and I love thinking about it that way.
Yeah,
So true.
It's just an attitude shift.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to look at that scientifically and be like, well, you're just pretending you're positive, or whatever that is, like, okay, yeah, whatever you say is true. And we'll just leave it at that. So if you want to say, oh, it's coincidence, you're right.
But it's one of the Hermetic principles. It's like the first Hermetic principle is that everything is mental.
Yep.
And so if you have a mentally positive attitude, everything's going to be positive.
Correct.
well, it's
Yeah. And even, you know, even a negative, where someone else would, like, you know, you see something like, oh, I fell off my bike. Somebody sees that as a negative, you know, but somebody in the right mind state might be like, well, this is a learning.
What can you learn from this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it becomes a positive. So
Yep.
it's not like somebody's lucky. It's just that they see luck differently.
Or maybe don't go down the hill backwards on your bike. Like,
Exactly.
it's
okay.
the subconscious, right? I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my voice here, but you know, my background's in psychology. That's my degree, and you know, we learn about the subconscious and how it affects human behavior and things like that. And they understand that 95% of our waking life behavior is driven by the subconscious, which is profound, right? That's the majority of our thoughts, emotions, desires, choices, intentions are informed by this subtle part of our psyche that we don't even perceive unless we meditate, right? Or, you know, use psychedelics. But the point is, Okay, so I think it has something to do with like the subconscious, right? Where you believe so strongly you're getting signs or you're lucky or whatever, and it's beginning to now inform your decisions. It's like Neo, he's beginning to believe. So someone could say, well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter. The subconscious works like that.
That's right.
And I wrote down what Joe McMoneagle said when we were sitting right beside him. And he said, the ego is the bad part of the mind. The subconscious mind knows everything. Take my word for it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was powerful.
Yeah. It does know everything.
Literally everything.
Yeah, I often, one trip that I'm really like, sort of like on right now with my brain is, treating my brain as an organ and not as the decision maker. And it is really, really crazy how you can separate yourself from your physical brain and from your heart and from your gut. These things will make decisions for you if you let them, because they're in survival mode. Your physical body is able to survive without your consciousness. It will make decisions based on survival. Your brain's going to say, don't go to the dentist because it hurts and it's scary, but you have to override that. You do. You have to be like, no, it's good. And you're in conflict with your own brain. Like, well, how can you be in conflict with something if you're the thing? No, that must mean there's two things within me.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd always be in agreement with myself.
There's two wolves within me.
Of course. Yeah. And there is. Yeah. Was that Romulus reference or?
I'm not sure. But it's like, which one do you feed,
Yeah. But that is the truth, right? And so what does your brain do the second you're, and your brain doesn't think about the lovely car ride on the way to the dentist. It doesn't think about the receptionist who's going to be nice and bubbly, and doesn't think about the feeling afterwards of having a clean mouth and all that. Like that. No, it just thinks of the drills and the cavities and the bad things, right? But after you're done, what does your brain do? The first thing your brain does. Oh, we should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah. Or
you're like, yeah, brain, I know. And so, when you can realize that, you can realize that you can retrain your brain for everything. So if you can override your brain, your heart, and your stomach, not saying don't listen, it's information, but they're in survival mode. Your heart's not trying to get broken. Your stomach's not trying to go hungry. And your brain's not trying to change because it's very comfortable with this reality. If you let your brain control your decisions, so the way that I think the brain works, the brain creates time. Time does not exist outside your brain. Time is non-existent outside your brain. Your brain creates time so that it knows how to survive. So it says, the past exists. Let's go back and reevaluate so it doesn't happen again. Let's relive these terrible traumas that cringe you out. Let's do all this while you're sleeping, while you're in bed at night, because we got nothing else to do. So let's relive this just so we don't get hurt in the future. And then it goes to the future and it says, well, let's relive 9 different alternate realities that will never happen just in case they happen, so we can prepare and we don't get hurt. And like there's this
anxiety.
And so what is that? So it's time.
Yeah.
Without time, fear doesn't exist. Fear is solely based in time.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So your brain creates time, and because of time, it's fear. All fear is time-based. It's anticipation, it's regret, it's all these things that exist in time. How do you stop fear? How do you stop time? Present. Be in the present.
Do you know about...
How do you be in the present? You shut your brain off.
Yeah.
And you let your consciousness decide. You get away from these organs that are trying to survive, and all of a sudden, you're not projecting, you're not living the future, you're not fearful anymore. Your decisions are based on, your current situation. And now you're entraining your brain. You're creating new neural pathways. Your decisions are going to be more sound. Your brain's actually going to adapt eventually and come back and be like, this is the decision. We do want to go to the dentist because now we're aware it feels good. And so you're training that brain to create new neural pathways and effectively using your consciousness to change the way your organs behave. And that is what will help you, grow, progress, and avoid, long stints of depression and all this stuff, because you'll be able to just override that.
That's alchemy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Do you know about like the Saturn myth?
No.
Okay, so Saturn, as in like the okay. So think of like Greek deity, right? You have Zeus, okay?
Right.
Which would be Jupiter in Rome, okay? Because, the Greeks, the planets are named after like Greek and Roman deities, or maybe the Romans named them after the planets. I don't know. We did an episode on it recently where we go into that in the celestial bodies episode. But okay, so in the Greek version, you have Chronos, which is time. He's also the Titan. He's the father of Zeus. You have the symbolism of like the scythe, you know, what's the word? Harvest the crops. The time of harvest. You know, it's Saturn in the Roman.
Okay.
It's Saturn. Yep. Okay, which can also be syncretistically linked to, you could say, Rimfan or Moloch or Baal in like the Middle East or in Babylon, in these different cultures. There's this common thread that when you look at all of these different deities and how they are thematically linked, this dark and
they're linked to fear.
They're linked to time
and fear.
Yeah. And if you look in Egypt, they had Set, right? The darkness. And then the Persians would call him Shaitan, which is, you know, where Satan comes from. But there's always this like dark force in these ancient mythologies. Chiyun is another name for this force. My point is, you keep getting this sense. They call it, you know, the Ancient of Days, Father Time, the Grim Reaper, the Scythe, all of this symbolism around this this dark force, quote unquote, in all these various mythologies. And it's time. Yeah. It's the concept of time.
Time is fear.
Yeah, time is death.
Yeah.
Time is fear.
Fear is entirely time-based. Fear is entirely dependent on time.
And death.
Yeah.
We die because of time.
Yeah.
Everything is finite in the material world.
Yeah.
Except consciousness.
And our biggest fear is our fear of death.
Yeah.
And that is only available to us if we can project in the future. You can't fear death in the present.
Yeah, that's true.
Not unless it's imminent.
Yeah.
But even then, you're still projecting.
Or you have a phobia or something.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But again, what's a phobia? You're like, oh, I hope I don't get it.
Right.
You're projecting into the future.
That's right.
You're creating a scenario
Yeah.
in the future that you die due to this scary thing. It's all time-based. Fear is all time-based.
Yeah.
And so if you can shut off the thing that makes time, you can shut off the thing that makes fear.
That's deep, dude. You have me thinking, we were talking about this earlier, you have me thinking about Interstellar. You know, retro causality or whatever, where it's like you can affect things with decisions at your current perspective of the present across the past and future. And like, that's really deep. But after going to Monroe, I'm convinced that this is possible. And after hearing your story, if you want to share, or
sure, I was in meditation, Focus 15, which is no time. I only found this out after. I only realized after that I was in a Focus 15. I rarely do Focus 15. I usually do just stay to 10, sometimes 12. And I perceive myself above not my car, above a car at night at a gas station, warm lighting. It was like humid out. And I'm kind of above. I'm not out of body. It's just like a perception thing. I'm like in a corner kind of seeing this. And I feel like I'm removed from this scene. And I don't really recognize it. I'm like, what is this? And I'm trying to wonder, like, what am I looking at? And I see the car door open. This is during a meditation, once again. And I see somebody get out, and I recognize it's my friend, but this is from almost 20 years ago. Him and I went into town, and we got really drunk, and it was like 3 a.m, and he had been drinking, I'd been drinking, and we decided, like, we're still going to drive home, and it was like a 45-minute drive. And it was completely irresponsible. We get to a gas station because he had to gas up. So 45 minutes left to drive. I'm passing out. I'm in like the passenger seat in the front, and I'm kind of like passing out, and I'm thinking, man, I really want to go to sleep. I really want to pass out, but I don't want to leave my buddy hanging because he's driving, and that would be, I wouldn't be a good friend. I've been in that situation plenty of times where it's late at night and I'm just going to stay up for the driver, and I'd expect the same. Somebody would do that for me. So I'm sitting there, but then I get this like feeling, all right, that, man, when I was a kid, I used to love sleeping in the back seat, like curled up like a little ball, sleeping in the back seat. It was so fun. It was like, that nostalgic feeling of sleeping in the back seat. It was really nice. And I remember thinking to myself how nice it would be if I was just like that little baby sleeping in the back seat. And I was like, I shouldn't, but I really like this feeling I just really want it. And I told my buddy, I got out of the car. I was like, hey, I'm just going to pass out in the back seat. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah. So I get in the back seat, curl up like a little baby. And again, against my better judgment, I did that, knowing that. We leave. He ends up falling asleep at the wheel, and we end up crashing. We hit a guardrail so we're down the highway, and there's a guardrail here. And we hit the guardrail, and we kind of like slide into this like grassy area, and I'm bouncing around. Like I have no seatbelt, but I'm like completely limp, right? So I don't even get hurt. I'm just like bouncing. I had no idea where I was when it was happening. I thought I was in bed at home. Like it was like, very weird to wake up to, right?
Yeah.
And I get out and go to the side, and I see the engine exactly where I was sitting. The engine of the car would have cut me in half. It was exactly where I was sitting. It took up the whole seat.
You would have died immediately.
There would be nothing left. Yeah, I would be completely flattened. It was insane.
You'd be a stain.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, whoa, good thing I was in the back seat, like not really thinking anything of it. So I realized in my meditation, this was that night. I didn't ask for this. I didn't try to meditate about this thing. I was just looking, and I was trying to decipher what this was, and I saw my friend get out, and I realized this was that night. So now I'm there, and I see the car from the top. I don't really see myself, but I know I'm in the front seat, and I'm like, okay, this is where I get out, and I go in the back seat, and I'm kind of waiting. My buddy's gassing up, and I'm waiting, and I'm like, all right, well, get in the back seat. Let's go. Waiting. All right. Okay. Get in the back seat, and then I start thinking to myself, oh, okay, maybe I have to get in the back seat. Nothing's happening, and then I go, oh, and it dawns on me. I start thinking about how comfortable it would be to be a little baby sleeping in the back seat, like when I was a kid. And I start feeling that comfort of passing out in the back seat and being so comfortable. And I start sending that to myself. And all of a sudden, I see the door open, and I zoom out of this memory, and I get out of my meditation. Now, the sci-fi nerd in me is like, wait a second. Did I just send myself this message in the past to get in the back seat and go to sleep?
I think yes.
I swear to you on everything. To this day, I don't know why I got in the back seat. I never figured out why. Because like I said, and I emphasize this, it goes against my better judgment.
Yeah.
And I would never do that.
It just popped into your head, and you're like...
It was more than that. It was like this... It was overwhelmingly like calm and like, oh, I just want that again.
Yeah.
And that's what made me go. I would never do that. I would be like, yeah, whatever. No, I'm going to stay here with my friend. And,
I think you know the answer.
And yeah, so like when this happened, I was like, get the hell out of here. Like I said, the sci-fi nerd in me is like, this is such a cool story plot. This is so freaking cool, man. And I often wonder now, I told you, I'm like, would have been cool to look out the window and see an orb or something.
Well, hey, yeah. I mean, let's do another one. So we saw all those incredible things at the beach last night, and then we're at lunch today, and you're just like, oh my God, I just remember my dream.
Yes. Yeah, that was wild. Yeah. What were we talking about? Dreams.
Yeah, we were talking about
dreams.
We were talking about dreams.
And it triggered my dream memory. Yeah. And I was, I had a dream, it was last night, and it was like a movie where I found a UFO, a flying saucer. It was hovering off the ground. It might've been like 20 feet in diameter, 30 feet, silver disc. And I got in and I like stole it with my mind. And I remember like there was like CIA operatives that were like looking for me, and I just took off with it. Anyways, I ended up coming back, releasing. And the reason I say it was like a movie, because there was like letterboxes on both sides during this. I felt like it was
Grand Theft UFO.
Yeah, you know what I felt like? Have you ever seen Flight of the Navigator? Okay, Flight of the Navigator is a great classic in the 80s, and they actually filmed that at the Kennedy Space Station.
Really?
Yeah, parts of it where they housed a UFO there.
Cool.
And this UFO was sentient. Like it had its own AI.
Right.
And then this kid could interface with it psychically. It was like a whole thing. It was a cool movie.
Have you ever heard any videos of my dad talking about being inside these things?
He's talked to me a little bit about them.
Yeah.
but not.
How you fly them with your mind.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the first time I've heard that too.
I'll see if I can find your video.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and that's what I was doing. I was kind of like interfacing psychically with it. When I came back, it was like the end of the movie, and I realized that all my close friends were actually aliens, and they were like turning back into aliens one by one. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like this revelatory thing where they were like, yeah, we were here all along, and we needed your help, and now you're helping us. And it was this like, that was it. It was super weird. I don't know what it was.
It's obviously symbolic.
I feel like it was. I feel like there is something there, maybe just subconsciously, but it was a wild dream. I thought I watched a movie. I still have now, like when it triggered, I was like, oh, these are like movie images, like stills. Yeah.
That's really cool. It's symbolic. I think that you received information from what you saw yesterday. So I'll be honest with you. They give information through the light.
Mm-hmm.
Some people in ufology might call this inculcation, where it's known that when you look at UFOs, you receive downloads or information. But what we know is that they communicate through the light. We know that there are NASA studies that have been shared with us where the sun emits a particular green light wave. I'm doing a wave here. A green light wave that encodes the information for all life.
Well,
You know, we know that information is transmitted through light. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that these intelligent light beings could just, send information through your optic nerves or whatever you want to try to justify how they do it. But I'm willing to bet that there was some sort of slam-packed subconscious symbolism in that dream for you to unpack and to process that will help you going forward. And, I cannot read your mind. I cannot tell you why something is significant to you.
yeah.
But the psychoanalysis, dream study psychology in me, if we're looking at the psychology aspect of this, I take it as, my theory would be like maybe because of what you saw yesterday and how profound it was, that you now have initiated yourself, or rather you have been initiated even deeper
Right.
into level of contact with these beings, because before it was just, it was study. Now it's experience.
Yeah.
And my take on that is that, maybe it was the beings or the entities in a very silly, symbolic way showing you that they need help spreading the message. That they appear to you, not just for you to enjoy on your own. Sure, enjoy it. But what are you going to do with it?
Right.
You're going to share it.
Yeah.
That's why you got the crazy sighting, that of all the hundreds, maybe, 1,000 or more plus people that I've skywatched him with in my life, you're definitely, as far as the intensity of experiences go, you're in like the top 3 now.
Yeah.
One of the other, obviously not counting my crew and my family. I'm talking about people who have come to us from around the world. And then I have another guy, Tom Barber. He's a very, very good friend of mine. And he's the vocalist of my 2 favorite bands, Chelsea Grin and Darko. He's seen him up close with me. And I told him the same thing. I'm like, dude, this is crazy, and I see what's happened with him happening with you. Now, if you stay on this path, if you stay on the path of truth and trying to, with good intentions, share what you know, and with the intention of trying to help people understand and pull them along, you're going to see the incredible blessings are going to come your way.
I believe that.
It's a pattern that we've seen. It's a pattern that was told to us by the CIA even.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they do know more than letting on, don't they?
Yes, they do.
I guess that's the whole covert part of it.
Yeah. They didn't tell us that. They said it a little differently. They said that people with level of contact as severe as ours, usually after 12 years, experience just complete windfall of blessings, which is funny because 12 years for us was 2019, which was then a lot of stuff started rapidly changing for us. And but
interesting.
Forget the 12-year part. I've seen it with my friends around me.
Yeah.
That just with the intention to share this thing, that they go to the light and they stay on the path of truth and of goodness and just do this for the right reasons, that blessings come. And you've already had a lot of blessings.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's next?
Yeah. I mean, I'm down to stay the course and, keep asking questions and keep being curious, but also taking time to reflect and really try and digest what this means for me.
Yeah, of course.
What it means for other people, they'll make their own interpretations, and this maybe will be a small piece of the puzzle for them.
Yeah.
But for me, this is my puzzle. This is, what I'm trying to figure out, and I have to sit with that, and I have to think about what that means for me, and I'm looking forward to that.
But the puzzle isn't complete without every little piece.
No, that's right.
Even if you are just a little piece, in your words, not mine.
Yeah.
Even if you are just a little piece, and someone out there becoming aware of you and your story and the things that it's still significant.
I think this is Hal Puthoff who put it this way, but like he describes remote viewing being like this, but I kind of see like even this phenomenon being like this, where it's like taking a paper, and covering a window, and then you take a pen and you poke through one hole. You're not sure what you're looking at. Maybe there's a little bit of green, a little bit of blue, so you got to poke another hole somewhere. And now you see a little bit more of the picture. They're not correlated necessarily. Maybe they are. It's another color, so you're not sure. So you poke again. And now the more holes that have been poked, the more you can piece together the image. Will that be a clear image? Not all the time. Will it be, will you definitively have an answer? Probably not. But will you be closer to understanding something, closer than anyone or closer than you've ever been? Absolutely. And with every hole you poke, you're going to get a clearer picture of what this is, and it's going to mean something a little bit more. And
right.
So I think it's just a matter of keep poking.
Yeah. That's well said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect the conversation to go in some of the ways that it did, man. And I'm really humbled that, you flew out here from Canada and, turned down some other amazing opportunities to be with us and, chat on our humble little show. I mean,
this is an amazing podcast.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not gonna go unnoticed by us. Like, or rather, let me say that in a different way. I'm sure I can speak for Alex and me and maybe for Nick that like it's just very humbling to consider like how busy your schedule is and what you've got going on, and he's let us in on some of the things that he's got going on, and there's like a billion different tentacles of things that are going on your path, and like you took your time out to come here and be with us, and it's
but this is part of it for me.
Yeah,
this isn't a side quest. This is the main quest stuff.
King Arthur. That's a King Arthur shit. I'm telling you, man, he's Neo, man. Like it's like I feel like Morpheus and Neo, like as far as the phenomenon stuff, the contact part. But
or Merlin.
Yeah, or Merlin and Arthur. Yeah, that's a good one. And then I feel like in other ways it's reversed, and I have so much to learn from you as far as like content and videography, and maybe I could learn a trick or two. No, I'm just kidding. Magic, I don't know. But I do have to ask. I'm not going to ask you to do some magic. Who knows? Maybe on Patreon we'll get a trick or two. But you have your cards in your pocket?
Yes.
Let's show them off. Can we? Like
sure.
plug them?
Yeah, I mean, these ones you can't get anymore, but I'll show them
really?
off.
But the brand. Yeah. Look, he's got his own brand of cards.
Yeah.
They're amazing, dude. They're so smooth.
Beautiful
the
cards.
Slide on them, dude. They're beautiful.
Nice and sexy. A little bit of that ASMR.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god. I just love they're so sexy, dude. They're the polish and
butter.
Yeah. So check out his store. It's
First.shop.
First.shop. Yeah. Amazing merch. You guys probably have noticed recently I occasionally now I like to swap hats on episodes and try to wear like, different things, but like lately I've been rocking this hat that says First. That's my boy Chris. He hooked me up when we got back from Monroe. We sent each other a little goodie bag, and he got some.
Oh, can I tell you guys?
Yeah.
These guys got some fire merch coming out. I'm not saying anymore.
Hey, that's the first they're hearing of this, but thank you.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
He's been secretly rocking it, and I was like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" He's like, "We made it." I was like, "Get out of here!" I've been bugging him about the shirt.
No, you're going to get one. It's just it's a sample. You know, like we're in R&D.
It looks good.
You will get one. I promise.
Release the Kraken.
You'll be the first on the line, man.
Appreciate it.
You're gonna get one in the mail right away. Is there anything that you haven't got on your chest, or off your chest, rather?
I mean, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. We can talk about some of the out of body stuff.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah.
What's it like going out of body?
It was insane. The first 2 times that it happened was involuntary, so it was very terrifying. It was still scary afterwards, but not as scary because I knew what was happening to me. But the first time and the second time that it happened was back to back 2 nights in a row, and I documented this. I made a whole video series on what happened to me. But essentially, I was out of my body, 3 feet above my bed, in a lucid state. Turn around and I see myself, sleeping, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. I would have rather seen a monster than see myself, and I don't know how else to explain that. And people are like, "Well, I wouldn't have been scared." Like, dude, it's like if I told you, Ryan, turn around and look at you.
I could understand where you're going with that.
That's how, like, if I turn around right now and saw me passed out, do you know how scary that
it's
would
like
be?
I'm dead, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
It is like groundbreaking.
Yeah. I didn't understand that at first, but after thinking about it, it's like, that actually makes sense.
Was that your first thought?
The dead thing?
Yeah.
No. Not that I was dead, but that my soul was out of my body. And
Okay.
that maybe it wasn't supposed to be. That was scary. I didn't really jump to the conclusion that I was dead because I still felt like I was me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I think if, that might be actually a misconception with people who, die or whatever, because you don't feel like you're dead.
Yeah.
All the thoughts that I have are still me. I'm still here, but my body's there, but I'm still here. So I can't be dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing to think about.
Right. Well, the ego is still there.
Yeah.
But the physical body is not.
Yeah, the physical body's down there, and that's scary to look at because it's like that thing's dead.
Yeah, you've also never seen it
Right.
before.
Whatever that is down there is limp.
I mean, like, kind of objectively speaking, the human body is weird and like weird to look at.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
And seeing yourself in an unflattering way like that, like,
right. Oh,
you're
passed
not,
out of sleep.
You're not. Okay. Have you ever seen yourself with your eyes closed?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Think about that. On a video, not in real life. Right?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just like, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
I've never thought about it like
seeing that angle of you with your eyes closed, a very shocking thing to watch. It's not natural, so it scares the living crap out of you. Like, it's so scary and like made me panic and want to get back to my body. And the second time it happened, I got back to my body. This is a very scary thing. So this is my body here. And you're like, you feel yourself going into your body, which is weird. And I'm like trying to go back to my body, and I'm coming back down, and I go into my body, and I feel my like nose like sink up to my nose and everything. But then I start going past my body, like 4 inches. I'm like, no. And I willed myself back up, and then I like came to. But the feeling of going lower was amplified my fear tenfold, because I'm like, I didn't know you can go down. I knew you can go up. I'm like, what's down? I don't want to go down. Down's scary. We've always been taught that down is bad. I don't want to go down. Yeah. And it was a very scary, like, sobering thought. So then fast forward to after I come back from TMI.
The Monroe Institute.
Yeah, I had my first experience, which was, it was during a lucid dream. So I'm rolling out of a dream, and I'm like, oh, wait, this is a dream? Oh, I can go out of body. And as soon as I said that, I feel myself being hurled at like 1,000 miles an hour, complete darkness, but I feel like I'm going and I'm floating. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, Paris, Paris, because Hannah, when she went out of body, she thought Paris, and I was panicking, and I was like, and I say Paris, Paris, and like my voice is super low, and I'm like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, I can't see anything, and like the whole world's spinning around me. I feel it spinning, and I tried to open my eyes, and I had to force my eyes open, like force them. And this happened the first time I went out of body, because I woke up from a nightmare and I'm like, oh, I'm in my room, thank goodness. And then I went out of body. And this is what happened to me here. So I'm forcing my eyes open, and I force open, and I see what can only be described as these giant round-edged cubes made of stone, like churning within one another, like this big tesseract, like making noise like a machine. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to look at that. And I look again, it's still there, and it's still making noise. And I wiggle my fingers, and I slam back in my body. That was like, and now I'm thinking, okay, but that was during a lucid dream. It felt like the first time I went out of body, but it was different. Next day, I'm reading Robert Monroe's book. I'm at the exact chapter where he says, don't think of a place when you want to go out of body. Think of a person. If you think of a place, it'll be dark.
That's what Ignacio told me.
Yeah.
When we were first ever trying to go out of body, he was like, think of a person. Maybe trying to go check on your wife.
Yes. Because if you think of a place, it won't work. Now,
Yeah.
Hannah, when she did it, had a person in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Her sister.
Yeah.
She lives there.
I don't have anyone in Paris. So I was like, Paris, Paris, Paris. And that's why I broke the machine. I was like in the middle of this tesseract. We're like, oh, no, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, it was very terrifying. So that's what I made of that. You got some?
Kind of, not really. I'm
go
just
for it.
really wondering what this means. Like, don't go to a place, right? Well,
Yeah.
like, they're all
Don't
nouns.
have the intention to go out of your body
No.
and go to a place.
I get it, but
You
I'm
go to a place.
I'm spinning out of control, thinking, what if at one point this was Paris, or the fact that Paris is not a point in time.
Right.
Like Paris is,
But it's not a feeling.
and has been. Yeah, that's true. It's not a feeling.
Yeah, I think you can go to feelings, like how Paris, maybe if you have like a deep personal
'cause you
connection
haven't
with
been there.
someone, or I've been there,
Oh, okay. Well,
but it's not like, I think a person is maybe, you know, maybe we're entangled quantumly with other souls
yeah.
rather than locations, and maybe we can travel that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the significance of that was, but the next day when I read that, I was like, oh damn.
Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton.
Back from 2003. Paris Hilton in 2003.
So anyways, second time, now this next time was cool because I woke up, I had to go to the bathroom, but I was like, it's too late, whatever. It's like 4 a.m. I don't feel like getting up, but I go, oh, this might be a perfect time to go out of body. Cause I'm like buzzing, I'm in between sleep, but I'm lucid. So I was like, okay, let me close my eyes. And I close my eyes and I go, I deeply desire to leave my body. I deeply desire to leave my body. I deeply desire to leave my body. And on the third time that I say it, it's 3 seconds after I close my eyes, I feel myself phasing. And I say phasing because it's like a transition period where your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, falls through your physical. And you kind of like feel it all. And because you're in it, you feel it everywhere inside. And it's like energetic. And it's like, like this, it's like this. It's whatever this looks like, that's what it feels like. Kind of like you're numb everywhere and you're electric and you're buzzing and you're kind of phasing. You ever fall asleep on a plane and like you jerk awake because you thought you were falling? Like, just imagine you don't jerk awake and you keep falling. That's what it feels like. So where you're going and you just keep going and you keep going and now you're phasing and you're kind of like coming out of it. And now you're like, oh, now you're in this weird buzzing territory. You're still lucid. I still know I'm here. I'm aware that I just closed my eyes and I go, perfect. Now I'm going to go to body. And I peel my eyes open again. I have to peel my eyes open for some reason. So I peel them. I feel them opening like this. Now I see my room. It's all fuzzy. Like the first time, it was all gray and fuzzy, and I'm feeling buzzing. I'm hearing a whooshing sound, and I'm lower. I'm in the mattress now, so I'm kind of like lower. It's a weird perspective. So I put my hands on the mattress and I push myself up, and now I see my body right there, right in front of me. And I go, all right, that's enough. And I go right back into my body. I wiggle my fingers and I wake up. That was my second time. So I didn't go very far.
One moment.
Uh-huh.
Tell them why you wiggle your fingers.
To come back to one. To come back
Which
to
is?
this state of consciousness.
Yeah. One.
Yeah. This little movement brings me back into my body. It's like snaps me back in. Now, third time. It's at 5:30 in the morning. I wake up. Perfect meditation time. I pop on my Monroe Institute meditation, my Expand app, and I hit a 60-minute focus 10. Perfect. I meditate for an entire 60 minutes without falling asleep. Perfect meditation. Beautiful. Feel good. Buzzing. My whole body's buzzing. Vibrating. I take them off. It's now 6:35. I take them off. I put them down. And I lay down and I go, I deeply desire to leave my body. I deeply desire to leave my body. I deeply desire to leave my body. And on the third time I say it, I start phasing. I'm moving in my body. I'm like, all right, awesome. It's happening again. Can't wait. I try peeling my eyes open, but it's 6:30 in the morning and the sun's I don't have any curtains in my room and the sun is blaring through. And I know if I open my eyes right now, I'm going to wake up because that sun will wake me up. So I decide to close my eyes. And now I'm like, well, how am I going to get out of body if I can't see anything? Mm-hmm. So I remember Rosalie at the Monroe Institute told me, just demand clarity.
Yeah. Clarity now.
Clarity now.
Yep.
So I go with my eyes closed and I go, clarity now. I say it and my voice is so deep. I don't know why my inner voice is like the demon inside me. It's like, clarity now. And I'm like, oh, God, that's terrifying. And all of a sudden, I start seeing through my eyelids. I'm like, oh, this is great. I get up. My body's there. Okay, cool. We're not going to look at that too long. And I move to the window. Now, my window's higher in this realm. Even though this is my room. I see everything clearly. Remember, I had just closed my eyes 10 seconds ago.
Right.
I was wide awake. 10 seconds ago, I closed my eyes. This isn't half an hour later during a sleep. I just closed my eyes. I went like this, and I said the thing 3 times. And now I'm up. Okay, so this is right now. This window's higher. And they said that for some reason, Bob Monroe said, it's like an 80% match, this other realm.
Right.
For some reason, we don't know why. It's higher. There's a picture of somebody, and there's a rosary hanging beside it. I don't have a rosary.
That's so weird to think about, man.
Yeah, it's...
the 80% match thing.
Yeah, it's a weird detail.
It is.
And...
makes sense.
I remember what Arky told me. It's like kind of like the Upside Down.
I was thinking it.
In Stranger Things.
Yeah. It's like upside down.
Yeah.
Version of reality.
And I remember looking at my hand. Arky's like, he's telling me how he can put his hand through the window. And I was like, I'm going to try it. And I'm in front of my window and I see this window. It's sunny out. I'm like, I can't wait to get out there. And I go like this and it goes, doom. And I can't. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like, all right, well, I'll just open it the old fashioned way. And I open the window and I leap out and I'm halfway out and I kind of stop and I hear a female voice go, what are you doing? Oh my God. And I go back in. I don't look at where the voice was coming from. It's coming from across the room. I don't even want to look in that direction of what said that because it was so scary. I see my body. I lay back down. I phase back into my body. I wiggle my fingers. It is now 6:38. That was 3 minutes. That was the last
3
time.
minutes.
That was
in real time.
Yeah, in real time. That was 3 minutes.
Wow.
And I was lucid the entire time. Never once I fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. I can't wait to hear what happens the next time you go out of body.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it though. Every single time I get scared.
Yeah.
Every single time I've been scared.
Said this would happen.
Yeah.
That every time you like just go a little further, you're like, I'm good.
Exactly.
And your survival kicks in, and you just get a little further next time. I'm good. I've gone far enough.
That's right. Yep.
So you're literally playing out what they said would happen. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and I'm getting a lot of people in the comments also saying this is so validating for me because that's what happened to me, and like they're saying the same things I said.
It happened to Bob Monroe.
Happened to Bob Monroe.
What the hell? He's looking down at his body. He's freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I totally believe it. Dude, the first time I went out of body. See, that's the thing is like when I go out of body, it's not like that at all. Mm-hmm. I don't, exist in my room looking at myself laying there and look around and choose where I want to go. I just go to the craziest places, and it's like DMT, and I'm just shown things that I feel like I'm supposed to be seeing. So
That was kind of like my Focus 15 one,
yeah,
where I was like at that gas station. I didn't choose
like
to
I don't
be
have
there.
control over where.
No,
I'm
I didn't have a control. I was just
Yeah.
shown this thing, and I was like, what is this?
I did one time when we were at Monroe, and I think it was either Focus 12 or Focus 15. There was one time where I could manipulate where I was going, and it was like super fast, and it was like I was flying like Superman, and then I was running like the Flash, and it's kind of freaky, but
That sounds cool.
yeah,
I'd like to do that. If I could just get my hand through the window, that would be a start.
you will.
Just so
You
disappointing. I'm like, this is supposed to be my, I don't know, my alternate universe. I'm supposed to be able to do anything here.
You're grounded.
My stupid hand. Yeah, and then it's like, what are you doing? Like, this sound was like so stern and so like, it's almost like, what do you think you're doing? Like, that was the tone. It was like, what are you doing? And I was like,
Stupid.
yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, but it wasn't a voice. I didn't recognize the voice. I have no idea whose voice that was, and it was very, it was very scary.
I have to ask, why do you tend to prefer to meditate to Focus 10 of all the other frequencies?
Focus 10 is the out of body meditation. That's the one that's best tuned for out of body.
Really?
Yeah, mind awake, body asleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, that's the one.
That makes sense.
That's the one that, but I mean, you can get out of body with any. Well, actually, I never actually got out of body during a Focus 10,
Right. Because we did intro in Focus 12.
but it's always after.
Yeah.
I would always do the meditation, take off the headset, then get out of body. It was never during the hemisync.
Interesting.
Yeah, never once.
My favorite is 12. I find that I'm drawn to it. The concept of expanded awareness,
Yeah.
you know?
It's a good feeling, 12.
Yeah, it is. I find that when I'm making contact with the beings, and I can't believe I just said that. That's something I've never said before. I always talk about it in terms of Dad making contact, but yeah, sometimes I guess I make contact. And post Monroe, I just go into Focus 12 and I start sending myself up there. And
You said you did that at the beach.
last night,
Yeah.
And then the weird thing appeared. That
Yep.
Maybe it was government craft. Maybe it was something else. I don't know, but it was really weird because, I was in Focus 12 and I just had these feelings and we were seeing things throughout the night. So when we were at Monroe together, I went home for 1 week. I mean, we were all home, but I was home for 1 week. And then the following week after that, I went to Germany. While I was in Germany, and obviously this was my first time getting to try this because I had just got back from Monroe and now I'm in Germany. It's like I'm still processing this thing. I spent the whole Europe trip processing it, you know? And there was one night that I was like, I want to try going into Focus 12. And I'm sitting on the patio at my wife's uncle's apartment, and I'm sitting there meditating. And I go into Focus 12, and I start doing like how it was at Monroe, sending myself up to the sky, and just inviting their presence and trying to make contact with my thoughts. And I swear to you, dude, I opened my eyes, boom, it was there. Like, open my eyes, orb. So I started to notice that sensation. What sensation occurs within me when I get into this state, and then boom,
Right.
they're there.
Yeah.
So
That feeling.
yeah,
That's
And
cool.
I think we can all do this. My dad taught me this, but I just
Because
finally
that's happened to your dad a lot, where he'd
happens
run
every
out of the
time.
house and
yeah,
be like, they're here.
like every time.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works. And he's always taught me about this feeling and that it's possible. But after going to Monroe, I finally learned how to access this state of mind. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like I think we all have this ability, but it's just a certain
Focus level.
it's a state. It's a mental state, and I feel like I've kind of finally learned how to get there, thanks to the Monroe Institute.
We got to go back.
Well, yeah, I think we will.
I think
You
so.
know, let's put it that way. But so I got to ask you this then. So in what way, you could be as broad or specific as you like, but in what way has the Monroe Institute changed your life?
In a major way, it's definitely taught me that I'm more than my physical body. And I think that's the one thing they wanted to teach me, and it's the one thing that I now believe is true. That is, again, my personal assessment of my own journey.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to do their own research. Do not take my word for it. I'm not here to preach, and I'm not here to tell you what is what. For me, I believe that I am more than my own physical body, because I've seen my physical body from a perspective that made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's once you see that, and that's the one thing that you realize, you can't go back.
Right.
You can't go back. Once you see that, you can't go back. It's this is coming from someone, who not a guy into anything other than, the objective reality that is shown to us. You know what I mean? That's usually me.
Mm-hmm.
And after all this journey that I'm going through, I'm realizing now that there's much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to humble yourself. Like you were saying earlier, you have to humble yourself and understand there's just sometimes things that are above our, understanding.
Yeah, I believe that.
Amazing. Man, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming all the way out from, I'll just say Montreal, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just spending an incredible few days with us. And I want to come to Canada.
You're going to come to Canada?
I will come to Canada.
I'm going to have you on debrief.
Yes, I would love that. I would love to take a tour of your studio.
Great.
And what are you want to come to?
You can come too.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, I would love that, man. I would love BSS does Canada. BSS goes to see Chris Ramsay, and it's just I'm humbled to be your friend, man. I'm glad that we were neighbors at Monroe. I'm glad that you were really, from my experience, you were like a very pivotal part of that. Because I was on the phone with my dad on the drive to Monroe saying, Dad, I have a secret plan. I want to get there and I want to skywatch. I want to bring it up later in the week, let people warm up to it, and then I want everybody to see one good time. I want the staff to see. I want everybody to see. And then I get there and immediately you walk right up, plant it in my hand. I'm Chris. Nice to meet you. You have a really cool podcast. I've read your dad's book. That's super awesome, man. I'm glad to meet you. And you just completely disarmed me. And then right away you were like, let's skywatch tonight. And it forced me to adjust course. So if it wasn't for you and your intentions and what the outcome that you sort of forced, it might not have ever been the same for me. So I'm grateful for that, man.
Oh, thank you.
And
I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm grateful for y'all.
I'm grateful for Nick. I hate that he had to miss it. But
yeah,
but it's okay, man. It's get his rest, and he's bummed about it. I'm bummed about it, but he can't help being sick. So we're thinking of Nick.
Sending our thoughts out to Nick.
Yeah, sending our thoughts. And any last words? Anything you want to get off your chest? You good?
I'm good.
Feeling good?
I'm feeling great.
You know how we end it?
How do we end it?
With the BGs, we say bye, guys, at the same time to the camera.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, check out our other videos.
And before you go, don't forget to subscribe. See you next week. Peace.